Sure. Yeah? Yeah. Speak to me. Fuck all. Natty. 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 Okay. Kanjani? Mara ubuza something. Natty. Sihle. Natty. Eh. Mare voice ako elo. Then on fallback the controller voice akane. Yeah, ka fallback. Yes sir. Wow, the effects for all. Nada. Yes sir. Yes, yes, yes. Oromel. Holy shit. Get to Nune. Oromel vie. Mareta eche samur. Mariona otherwise ke thola mo di international sound ne. Ke thola mo international sound. Wo mala di defects tseo ke dlala ka tsone ku. Well, le go di effects di bass. No, o di timile no again. Man, gonna something so simple, man. I eat an oppressor something. You fix it your fire. And then try to decide defense to the toilet for the phone on. Yeah, two look at like international sound. Go fall back. Then the effects in there, the toilet can I co-ord. I don't understand. Because of Keza, like I want to know your co-ord. International sound, I want to nix in the toilet to move for it. Probably that's why maybe. basakhona uku-communicate le director because of the effects di tswa gona the core order. Sure. There we go, there we go, there we go. Go international sound. Sure.
Oh, need to win. No, what are the two movies? Hey. Hey. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the letters in between, plus, plus. A warm welcome to you if you just joined us. We are coming to you live from University of Johannesburg, A.W. Miller Stadium. This is the Total Energies Under-17 African Cup of Nations COSAFA Qualifiers 2024. We are on match day 2, match number 6 coming up. South Africa up against Botswana. And this is how the two teams will start their match, starting with the home team, South Africa. Jersey number 1, Lwandiso Khatebe. Jersey number 2, Steve Palmer. Jersey number 3, Fulani Nkunu. Jersey number 5, Mukamoso Mukokos, the captain of the team. Jersey number 6, Kamohelo Maralete. Jersey number 7, Salvin Stevens. Jersey number 10, Emil Redboy. Jersey number 11, Simpiwe Mlondo.
For you, the white one.
Jersey number 14, Jersey number 15, Neo Busuku. Jersey number 18, Tewo Mlangeni. And jersey number 20, Kayaletu Zimela. The reserve for South Africa, jersey number 4, Hayden Boysons. Jersey number 8, Royce Malati. Jersey number 9, Apelele Machola. Jersey number 12, Lebohang Zamini. Jersey number 13, Umpemesi Zokoto. Jersey number 14, Sonolo Musia. Jersey number 16, Luke Holden. Jersey number 17, Taris Rugnani. And jersey number 19, Kanyiso Makasha. The coach there for South Africa is Coach Vela Kumalo. Moving over to the opponent, Botswana. Jersey number 1, Musimane Khape Sebalelo. Jersey number 2, Junior Khote. Jersey number 4, Peo Masala. Jersey number 6, Tyron Metis. Jersey number 7, Kuto Mamanye. Jersey number 8, Paisani Muzila. Jersey number 11, Kiso Mashua. Jersey number 12, Retabile Mutsuke. Jersey number 13, Justice Nzenang. Jersey number 17, Hosi Tiri. Jersey number 19, Tero Bubi. And jersey number 20, Peño Lejeto. Captain, my captain. The reserves for Botswana. Jersey number 3, Junior Lisbon Retabile. Jersey number 5, Bran Maluba. Jersey number 9, George Sai. Jersey number 10, Lemohan Sefemo. Jersey number 12, Retabile Mutefe. Jersey number 14, Kato Kelatile. Jersey number 15, Alba Kwerasuru. And jersey number 16, Makake Lekua. The coach there for Botswana still is Coach Udirile China Mataku. Your match officials for this big clash. The man in the middle is Wilson Junior Mwange, all the way from Mozambique. First assistant, Lamek Mbula Pili from Malawi. Second assistant, Warren Mulenga from Zambia. And our fourth official for this match number 5 is Mwetimama Nebongo Nafala Naftal, all the way from Namibia. This is the Total Energies Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations COSAFA Qualifiers 2024.
Hey, record, how's it? Good, man. That's okay.
Like lo mchita lo shooting ayithola injalo.
Bot. Sorry, bot. Bot. Hey, bot. The black one.
Strap in for the main event of day 2. Feast your eyes on the final match of the day in Auckland Park. It's a Group C affair between South Africa and Botswana. Day 1 was absolutely delightful, but day 2 of the Total Energies CAF Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations COSAFA Qualifiers should be even bigger and better. And this is one big match between South Africa and Botswana, the second contest in Group C, after Mauritius and Comoros played out to a goalless draw earlier on. So top spot in Group C is definitely up for grabs. This rendition of the Under-17 COSAFA Championships is everything what a neutral could have hoped for, and the best bit is we're only just getting started. It's the one group match that many have been waiting for with bated breath. It's more than just a neighborly dispute. It's a match that can set off something truly special for either South Africa or Botswana, who are coached by a man by the name of Oderile Matlaku. a defense-minded coach, and the Botswana players this afternoon will have to be very wise, very astute, very resilient in their defensive half, fending off a very vibrant South African attack. It is easier said than done, but even a point would be taken as a massive positive for the teenage Zebras of Botswana. There's Selebalo getting a practice run in before the main event gets underway at 3 p.m. sharp, which is just over 10 minutes or so away. The under-17 age group may not receive the same level of recognition and admiration as the seniors, but watching how a boy can transform into a star is quite the sight to behold. And like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, learning how to fly, this tournament is the opportunity to fly. And some of the big bosses have come out to bear witness to this contest. Dr. Danny Jordan, the head of the South African Football Association, the president, is here watching this match. There's a certain cloud hovering over his head, but we won't delve into that this afternoon. All eyes are on the under-17s of South Africa and the under-17s of Botswana. A sizable crowd have made their way into the UJ Miller Stadium here in Auckland Park, hoping to be witness to what is likely to be a feverish battle between South Africa and Botswana. Vela Khumalo, the man on the bottom left-hand side of your picture, the head coach of the South African under-17s, has reached notable milestones with this group, but he, together with his staff, have the appetite for more milestone achievements. Khumalo has served in the under-17 domain for quite some time now. He was alongside Molefi and Seki when they both guided Amajimbos to their first FIFA under-17 World Cup appearance in 2015 in Chile, together with their participation in the 2015 Under-17 AFCON edition, in which South Africa finished the tournament as runners-up. So they have achieved very high highs under the stewardship of Vela Khumalo, but this is a different group of players, a different batch of players, some would say even more exciting, even more promising, but only time will tell how South Africa are able to manage the pressure and the expectancy that comes from being the home team. Because Botswana are certainly no pushovers, and they'll definitely, without doubt and question, be up for this challenge against a mighty South African lineup. Most of their players, in fact, play for Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns in the local Gauteng Development League. So they've been involved in a lot of competition, a lot of cutthroat competition over the year. So they'll be fit as a fiddle and ready to go and ready to take on the young Zebras of Botswana.
South Africa and Botswana.
So heaven can wait. It is Cote d'Ivoire that 12 teams hope to visit. South Africa and Botswana. Amajimbos and the Teenage Zebras are two of those 12 teams that crave regional supremacy. To be the top two of the South will truly take something special. And speaking about special, we are about to be spoiled with an abundance of special talent out on the park today. Legend says history dictates that every time South Africa have hosted the COSAFA Under-17 Championships, the Amajimbos team have won the lot. It's an omen Botswana will seek to destroy, while the hosts will want to cling on to their mighty, impressive home record. And it all begins right now. First, with a singing of the national anthems.
We all stand for the national anthem of Botswana. the national anthem of South Africa.
Passion is pouring out of both sets of players, that being South Africa and Botswana. Just like the other two groups, Group C is a tricky group to draw predictions from. Anything can happen at any given moment, and any given moment can be seized by absolutely anyone and any team. Botswana and their finest selection of under-17 talents are undeniable outsiders in this tournament. But outsiders always have a shot, and their motivation can't be questioned because they are confronting one of the tournament favorites that line up like this. Starting with the inclusion of Emil Witbooi, whom is trying to earn his place in Cobham in Chelsea Blue. Hadebe also gets the nod ahead of Musia and Holden. Mokokosi of Kaizer Chiefs leads the back line and leads Amajimbos. Maralitsi and Mlangeni are a wonderful midfield duo to watch on their day. Velo Kumalo has been spoiled with attacking options, but he's gone with the goal machine that is Butloko of Kaizer Chiefs, the creative conductor that is Stevens, and of course another front man on form, that being Simpiwe Mlondo of Mamelodi Sundowns, wearing the number 11 on his back, hoping to make one valuable impression on the under-17 COSAFA Championship. Wilson Muyange of Mozambique is the lead official, the whistleblower for this colossal clash between two Southern African giants. Botswana are posed and poised to line up rigidly and defensively in a 4-4-2 system, which is simplistic in nature, but it can be so effective, especially if the front two, Tsidi and Khote, manage to stretch the Amajimbo's defensive structure. The two captains meeting in the middle, Lekgeto of Botswana and Mokokosi of South Africa, exchange pleasantries and prepare themselves to get up and underway. Botswana dressed in their traditional sky blue with white in between. As for South Africa, it's the traditional green and gold that will be donned by Amajimbos. There's about a minute or so to go, perhaps just a few seconds before we delve deep into this contest. There's Hadebe, plays his club football for Super Sport United in the Gauteng Development League. And there's so much pressure, so much expectancy swirling around in this A.W. Miller Stadium. Unu, also of Kaizer Chiefs, start on the left-hand side for South Africa. And he'll in all likelihood be confronted by Tsidi, and maybe even that man as well, Khote, who is leading the line together with Tsidi this afternoon for Botswana. Emil Witbooi, many were hoping to see him in action in this tournament, and they have received and gotten their wish. Let's see how Witbooi will perform on this mega stage. Amajimbos and the Teenage Zebras of Botswana finally get their under-17 COSAFA Championship campaign underway. And we are live from the UJAW Miller Stadium. Here is Hadebe, the youngest individual in the starting lineup for South Africa. Did beat two exceptional goalkeepers to a starting berth. And South Africa in early control of possession. He turned from Buhloko, who just seemed to can't stop scoring in the Diski Challenge for Kaizer Chiefs. He's also apparently been on the fringes of the senior squad. Here's Mokokosi. Ovamakosi. Great ball from him. Botswana already camped deep inside their own half. Here is Emil Witbooi. He's tripped early on. It's one way to stop him. Hoping to become a Cobham graduate at Chelsea Football Club these days. Hoping to one day set the scene alight at Stamford Bridge. But for now, he'll have to play to the best of his abilities at the humble UJAW Miller Stadium. Selebalo preparing to face his first possible major test of the game so far. Hovering over the ball is Stevens, born in Cape Town, but he currently plays his club stuff for Mamelodi Sundowns. Interesting ploy that South Africa are trying to adopt here. It's difficult to see as to how this one will unfold. He goes for goal. Plenty of venom and electricity on the strike from Buhloko, who is a man riding a wave of undeniable confidence. Took it upon himself to have a go. It's perhaps just a range finder, a tester for the young 16-year-old. Lekheto. That's just about enough for Botswana. So the other two members of this group, Comoros and Mauritius, were the co-stars of a dull draw to start the day off, to start Group C off. And each of those teams will definitely pose a unique type of challenge to South Africa and Botswana when they eventually face them on Saturday afternoon. But as for these two, the onus is on them to grab a hold of the summit of Group C. Sela Kumalo stationary in his technical area. Here's Stevens. Drops a little bit deeper. Here's Palmer of Cape Town City. Just lets that ball run out of play that ever so slightly. It's a powerful fullback for his age, is Palmer. As well, just to cushion that one down for Maralitse, who's also received so much praise and plaudits from the youth football fraternity as South Africa's number 6. And here's their number 7, Stevens. Teases a few Botswana defenders before pumping a pass to Mokokosi. Now Maralitse. Now Witbooi. South Africa working it smoothly, working it nicely. Here's Unu on the charge for South Africa. Great ball from the Kaizer Chiefs fullback. And it's pulled back and the trigger is pulled. And it's the second time now that South Africa have tried their luck outside of the box. And that one cruising over the top of the crossbar from Mlondo, who leads the line for Mamelodi Sundowns and leads the line for South Africa for this afternoon's clash. Simpiwe Mlondo is the product of the SAFA Transnet School of Excellence. And just recently, I think it was in October, scored a hat-trick for Mamelodi Sundowns in the under-17 GDL. Maralitse to Witbooi, who has availed himself quite often, and that is a stellar pass from Witbooi. And Buhloko couldn't get beyond the goalkeeper. Stevens to Witbooi again. The Cobham boy is flying. Witboy is in here. The flag has stayed down. Look at him go. Witboy is tripped. And he's won a penalty single-handedly for Amajimbos. What a start from the hosts. Emil Witboy tying that Botswana backline up in knots. And some would say it was always going to be a matter of time. And it hasn't taken South Africa long at all. They're presented with one golden opportunity. Lovely interplay between Witboy and Stevens. And it is going to be Stevens that will take this penalty kick for Amajimbos. Is this going to be the opener from the spot? Stevens for South Africa sends Selebalo the wrong way. And Amajimbos are up and running. It's been a fiery, fervent start from the hosts, and they deserve nothing less. Celebration matches the goal. Constructed by Emil Witboy, but finished off by Stevens. It's the start of dreams for South Africa. They have a terrific record when they host this tournament. They've made a phenomenal start to this contest. It was the Botswana captain, Leketso, that was the guilty party, that was guilty of bringing down Emil Witboy. And Mozilla was also defeated and beaten. All ends up by Witboy. And as for Botswana, from their point of view, it's the worst possible start for Oderile Matlaku's men. Langeni, another player of Kaizer Chiefs. They just seem to be churning out a lot of youth stars of late. But the under-17 GDL league was captured by Mamelodi Sundowns this past season, which is why a decent amount of those players have made their way into this squad, into this starting 11 of Vela Kumalo's side. Stevens over the top. Two players dressed in South African colors give chase. It's out by Selebalo. Here's Tesang for Botswana. And then joining late to the party is Booby. So after that fast start, South Africa have just slightly taken their foot off the gas. We didn't witness a goal in the earlier tie in the first Group C match between Comoros and Mauritius. Now Botswana here trying to force an equalizer. And look at that composure at the back from Maraletsi. Palmer, something that coaches don't exactly encourage. But if you have the capabilities to play out of the back and wriggle out of a tricky situation, we'll do so. Witboy releases Putloko for South Africa. And covering was the Botswana captain, that being Leketso. He's been tearing up the scene in the Diski Challenge, or in the PSL Reserve League. Can he do so in the Under-17 COSAFA Championships? Stevens, scorer of South Africa's first goal via the penalty spot, is in charge of this free kick. Doesn't curl it in, rather points it in there, and that's a terrific save. Marvelous stop from Selebalo, with his cat-like reflexes to deny South Africa a second goal. It was a rather simple ball in from Stevens, and exceptionally well met in the box. So Mlondo perhaps has been instructed to stand in the 6-yard box. In that earlier corner, he stood right in front of the Botswana #1. Stevens again with a similar type of corner kick, and it's spilt by the goalkeeper. Not punished by the South Africans, who seem to be mixing things up quite nicely. Stevens lurking with intent. Selebala was quick to it. Manyane. 10 minutes into this bout, and South Africa did claim an early lead, courtesy of a cool, as you like, penalty from Stevens. The kid of Botswana gets away with that one. So the two other members of this group, Comoros and Mauritius, will definitely be watching this contest with great intrigue. And for the time being, South Africa have summited to the top of Group C. Remember that the three teams that finish on top of Group A, Group B and Group C will progress to the semi-finals outright. And then the best placed, or the second place runner-up with the most amount of points, will join those three teams in the semi-finals. That is set to take center stage next week, Wednesday, on the 11th of December. Maralitse to Mokokosi is captain. Here he is again, wonderful one-touch, two-touch play from the South Africans. It's swift and it's easy on the eye. Last time they played at home, they absolutely dismantled and put Lesotho to the sword. Stevens. Maralitse. Langeni. It's a nice ball to Unu. In this edition of the COSAFA Men's Under-17 Championship, the 12th of its kind, has given us all so much already, from spectacular strikes to defensive masterclasses to some dubious decisions to dramatic last gasp equalizers. So much has been seen and so much remains to be seen. Botswana are yet to try their luck, but Witbooi could do so now for South Africa. Chops it back. Oh no, that is gorgeous. Stop it. Stop it, Emile Witbooi. South Africa's next sensation scores an absolutely picture-perfect goal. Created the penalty and took it upon himself to tally up South Africa's second goal. Stevens found him beautifully. And again, the Keto was sold down the river. And Witbooi just effortlessly passed that into the empty side of the net. He makes things look easy. And that's why he's trying to prove his place at Cobham.
Goal South Africa. Goal scorer, jersey number 10, Emile Witbooi.
The South African supporters were dying to see Emile Witbooi in action. And boy, have they been treated in the opening 13.5 minutes. The Keto for Botswana. Been having a tough time of it. And things could get really ugly for Botswana if they aren't able to get a hold of this contest, get a hold of South Africa. Mlondo down the left. Unu here. Busloko is in the box. So is Stevens. Witbooi just hovering on the edge. Mokokosi. And every time Witbooi gets the ball, bums are raised off the seats. Palmer. Loose touch from Witbooi. Capitalized on by Booby and Matthys in conjunction. And here is Booby trying to play through the South African press that has been absolutely suffocating up until now. Tsesang tries his best to keep it in. And this version of Amajimbos are indeed aspiring to become the 4th under-17 South African team to win this competition on home South African soil. The outcome of the 1994, 2002 and 2020 editions will forever be cherished by those South Africans that won it. But there's a new ambitious generation that yearn for the exact same type of glory. And 2 of the 3 South African under-17 sides that became champions of this competition did so when only 4 teams took part. The pool of competitors is definitely wider in this year's competition, just like it was in the inaugural edition in 1994. Witbooi tripped. And he has exceptional examples to follow in the form of Noni Madweke, Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, João Felix. Exceptional attackers within the Chelsea ranks that Witbooi will likely learn from. And probably has learned a lot from already. Here's Mzimela. Plays for the British Football Academy, which is based in Pinetown. Very brutish, in your face, but also calm and collected centre half is Mzimela. Here's Palmer. He's making a really enterprising run around the corner. Botswana just haven't been able to come up with an answer to deal with this South African attacking quartet and the South African attacking threat. And they've really struggled to exit their own half, which is never a good sign. Here's Mzimela once more for South Africa, who are just taking this game by the scruff of the neck and trying to establish a stranglehold over Botswana. Maralitse makes it look effortless once more. Witbooi across the surface. Look at this run from Mlondo that was halted in its tracks. Stevens, Maralitse, now Palmer. We'll have to tend with Tladi, who commits a legal foul in the eyes of the referee and linesman, and so does Stevens. He might have scored one already, Stevens, from the spot, but he'll definitely be itching to tally up another. Mzimela. So far, Botswana have been outclassed as we approach the 20-minute mark. South Africa in total control. Stevens pulling the strings together with Maralitse. Now Witbooi gets the return ball. There's Witbooi looking for that Hollywood pass that threads the eye of the needle. Couldn't do so and tries his utmost best to win the ball back for South Africa. Couldn't do so, and Botswana attempt to go and head in the opposite direction. But so far it's been a quiet opening stanza for Hadebe and that South African goal. Here's Buhloko. Namabwe looking for a glamorous start to this Under-17 COSAFA Championships. It's definitely quite a picturesque venue. Perfect conditions for some scintillating football that we weren't exactly privy to in the last match between Mauritius and Comoros. But unlike that tie between the 2 island nations, this one has already yielded 2 goals, 2 Amajimbo's goals. Selebalo looks for Mosala. We'll be hoping to morph into a type of Mo Salah for this event. But he's starting on the right-hand side, and he's been occupied and kept busy by Buhloko and Mlondo, as well as Emil Witbooi. Maralitse doesn't find Witbooi this time around. Langeni to Stevens. He's looking to open up the angle with that wonderful left boot of his. Witbooi unable to take that one on. And as we'll know, before this event got underway, South Africa found themselves to be in a rich vein of form. They defeated both Tanzania and Algeria in confident fashion and narrowly lost to Morocco when the group last got together in September. And before that, and the last time South Africa played on UJ premises, they were a brilliant watch against Lesotho, whom they defeated 3-1 in what was a neighbourly friendly. This too is a neighbourly dispute between South Africa and Botswana. And so far, South Africa are definitely getting the better of the teenage Zebras. Here's Maralitse. Over the top to Witbooi again. This time it's Lekgetho, the Botswana captain, that denies Witbooi a chance. Up and willing and ready to grab a hold of his brace, just wasn't meant to be. For the Cape Town City player, currently on trial at Chelsea Football Club. Manyane for Botswana. Now Lekgetho. Had a torrid start to the game. But he's brought it back nicely with a few neat and tidy touches. Here's Hadebe. As I said, got the nod ahead of Musia and Holden. Musia does play for the University of Pretoria. As for Holden, starting goalkeeper for Mamelodi Sundowns. Just like the senior men's national team, a heavy presence of Mamelodi Sundowns youth players. But unlike the senior team, a lot of Kaizer Chiefs youngsters in the starting 11 and Vela Kumalo's squad as well. And this is one of them, Mokokosi, teasing his opposite number in Tidi. It's a useful spread to Munu. Does bring about a corner kick for South Africa. And the left fullback will in all likelihood find his way into the box, although he's retreating to the halfway line off your screen, just to possibly tend to a possible Botswana counter-attack. And it's no surprise that Emil Witbooi will come across to take this corner kick for Majimbos. They were close to scoring from one corner a few minutes ago, if it wasn't for the fingertips of Selebalo. So will he go short or perhaps long? Gives the signal, a peculiar type of signal from Witbooi. Maneuvers a different kind of angle. Maralitse puts it into the box, spears it into the box, nodded across the face. Buhloko now for South Africa, waiting for support. Palmer, it's taken off his toes and it's going to go out for another corner kick. So from the one side to the other, opportunities aplenty are starting to arise for South Africa, even after they've secured a 2-0 unassailable lead over Botswana. And this time it's the left boot of Stevens that's in charge of this corner kick. His last delivery was on the money. We'll be hoping that this one will be much of the same. Made his strike from the penalty spot look terribly easy. What can he produce from this corner? Great ball in. Nodded over the top by the South African captain, Mokokosi. In the 6-yard box. There was players crowding the 6-yard area. And And perhaps just due to that congestion, perhaps he was put off by the runner just in front of him. The runner being Mzimela. His darting run probably would have just put Mokokosi off, who just blinked at the crucial point of impact. South Africa tried to emerge beyond the halfway line. Couldn't do so that time around with Buhloko. Botswana yet to try their luck on the South African goal, yet to produce an attempt on target as well. As you can see there, the South African bench, some activity there. Players being sent out for a warm-up. Palmer applies some pressure on Selebalo, who can only find Mlangeni. Now Maralitse. Mlangeni tries an eloquent spin and got away with one there. Pokes it to South Africa's star number 6. Now they're number 7, Stevens. Witbooi operating on the final shoulder, on the final defender. Stevens, gorgeous nutmeg. That's just wonderful. That is just pure silk from Stevens. Now Witbooi. The attack slows down the ever so slightly for the South Africans. Now it's Witboi's turn to try and open up his bag of tricks. Stevens to Witbooi again. Keeps it in towards the far post. Uno was arriving late with some serious intent. He's quite a tall 16-year-old, but couldn't rise high enough. Again, another exceptional passage of play from the South Africans. It's been all South Africa in the opening half hour or so. Total cruise control. Buhloko lets it run. It's a bit of a disappointing touch from Mlangeni. Here's Bubi, now Tladi, now Mozilla. And again, it's aimless and very hopeful stuff from Botswana. Their attacking presence is yet to be felt in this game. Now Hadebe of SuperSport United. To give away there from Mokokosi, who's caught out of possession. Can Matthys pounce on it, pounce on the opportunity? South Africa shut him down. Stevens turns, faces, unleashes a ball to Palmer, who is onside for South Africa. Palmer looks for the cutback, opting not to go for glory himself, and then puts it across the face again. Arriving late was Uno once more. It's quick and direct play from South Africa, and the possession stats indicate total dominance. 74% of the ball belonging in South African hands, with nearly 29 minutes on the clock. Thought about a shot from range there, did Nondo, who, just like Buhloko, has been in and amongst the goals in the under-17 GDL. Palmer this time is caught offside. So the two fullbacks of the South African team heavily involved in the attacking third. Tight call. That in fact was the first offside of the contest so far. Here's Manyane. Selebalo takes a slip in his attempt to clear the ball, but he produces a decent delivery to Mosala. Matthys. His mistake is latched onto, then given away by Buhloko, who was perhaps just a little bit outnumbered. That's a good touch. A touch that get South Africa moving in a forwards direction. Stevens has occupied various zones in the field so far. It's difficult to man mark a player like Stevens because he drifts in every which area. Speaking of the man, here he is. Botswana seem to be chasing shadows here. Will they pick the ball out of the back of the net for the third time? That's a really good sliding challenge to deny South Africa another opportunity. CD just caught offside there. Did make contact with the ball in an onside position, but was just caught napping and on his heels when the ball was initially played through. Zimela over the top to Butloko, who beats the goalkeeper. Big chance for Amajimbos. Hits the side netting. The Kaizer Chiefs man was in an offside position already. Was recognized as the player of the tournament in last year's DDC at only 15 years of age. Now 16, slightly wiser, slightly older, slightly more mature, and you can definitely see that in his approach to the game. There's a shot from range! And Hadebe was nearly caught out. That would have been hands down the goal of the tournament so far from Tidi. He saw that Hadebe has been taking it easy, and he thought, why not? It was perhaps just 1.5 meters too high. But Hadebe was worried, even if it was for a brief second or two. That's the first goal attempt Botswana have produced, but here goes Witbooi again in his adventurous runs down this right-hand side. Palmer puts in an overcooked cross. Unu. Mlondo. Teases Booby, but wins it back. Does the Sundowns forward? Does the Amajimbos forward? Witbooi. Not once but twice. And even the Botswana bench is having a bit of a chuckle. And the crowd absolutely adore it. Local crowd here in Auckland Park definitely witnessing something special in the shape, in the form of Emile Witbooi. He's playing his football with a smile on his face. So is Stevens. The 2 goal scorers for South Africa in this second Group C match. And only 33 minutes on the clock. So Witbooi and Stevens are discussing a modus operandi here. Seems like it's going to be Stevens. Plays it short, gets it wrong. Don't think he was on the same wavelength as Maralitse and Mlondo. Nonetheless, he gets a second bite at the cherry. So does Witbooi. Goes on the outside now, does Witbooi. And nearly landing at the feet of Butloko. Another scare survived for Botswana. Remember, the last under-17 team the Botswana Football Federation fielded for this competition produced their most impressive showing yet. From 2018 to 2021, Botswana were either eliminated from the group stage, disqualified, or simply didn't enter. But that was until they churned out an exciting team, one that went all the way to the semi-finals in Lilongwe, Malawi, 2 years ago. Zimela. Butloko. Just seem as if and feel as though South Africa can turn it on in the blink of an eye, in an instant, if they choose to do so. But for now, they're just opting to knock it about amongst one another, to further frustrate, to further rub salt into the wound of Botswana. Here's Butloko to Witboy. Those two trying to carve an opening. Here's Mzimela. Well, in the last COSAFA Under-17 Championship, which is more than 2 years ago now, South Africa seated in the same group as Zambia. And although Amajimbos progressed through the group phase and breezed past Malawi in the semi-final, they lost not once against Zambia, but twice. And it was enough to qualify for the last Under-17 AFCON tournament, but not enough to be known as the best of Africa's southern region. That's the tag, that's the status they'll be striving for over the next coming days. And there's the confirmation of the only yellow card that has been dished out in this contest so far. Tyron Matthys, the Botswana midfielder, booked for that earlier challenge. Mzimela to Mlondo. It's definitely a fluid front line that South Africa are playing with, and it's afforded numerous opportunities for the fullbacks to get forward. Unu gets his cross wrong, and it just might have gone out of play. Indeed it did. So because of that front line, because Mlondo and Stevens and Witboy always tend to drop deeper into those pockets much closer to the halfway line, it's really been difficult for the Botswana defenders to keep a short leash on them. And every time they follow the likes of Stevens and Mlondo and Witboy into the midfield regions, space opens up in behind him. It's a clever tactical ploy from Vela Khumalo in South Africa, a tactical ploy that is basically as old as time, but still so very effective. Stevens wants it in the right wing position. Instead, South Africa retreat all the way back to Hadebe. Mzimela. Now to Mlondo. Lovely pass from him to Witboy. Drops the shoulder, not once, but then twice. And couldn't find another opening. He's proven to be the key that has unlocked this Botswana defense not once, but twice. And he definitely is playing with a wealth of confidence, bringing what he's learned at Cobham into this Amajimbos setup. Witboy, a little bit more central this time around. Maralitse to Palmer, who's also been very industrious for South Africa down the right-hand flank. His pass was nearly short. Langeni. Witboy waiting for the runners. Six minutes to go of normal time, and South Africa are playing Botswana off the park. And here they move it along again with Mlondo, and then the strike from Butloko takes a nasty deflection. And it's out for another South African corner kick. He's been busy, has Mlondo. Title winner with Mamelodi Sundowns this season. Itching, eager for another title, this time with his national team. Remember, there's 3 group games, 3 opponents in the group phase to conquer, then 1 semi-final foe before the final, the showpiece final of the COSAFA Under-17 Championship. The participants in that final will progress to the AFCON Under-17 tournament in 2025. Here's Witboy again, a little bit flatter A little bit closer to the front post this time, and it's a little bit easier as well for Botswana and Likgetho to deal with the threat, to deal with the delivery of Emil Witbooi. He has progressed so quickly throughout his young career. And he has the potential to reach superstardom before he even reaches the age of 20. Butloko, again, wonderful interplay. Here's Mlondo for South Africa. Still Mlondo going for that bender in the top corner. Got it wildly wrong in the end. His intentions were crystal clear, and he managed to hold on to it for a prolonged period of time. And Likgetho was sold the dummy again. And there is definitely no doubt that the players out in the park this afternoon, as well as the players that have already taken to the COSAFA stage, all of them would know that this competition is a fantastic, the ideal springboard for their careers. And this current crop of South African youngsters are seeking to follow in the footsteps of the likes of Barkley 30 years ago, and more recently Siyabonga Mabena, who took home the Golden Boot Award with a jaw-dropping 9 goals in 5 matches during the last tournament in Malawi. Here is Witbooi, wanting, calling and needing some options. South Africa have totally outclassed Botswana in this first half, and they've taken the sting out of their tails, taken the motivation out of them. So a big task, a big job is needed, and a massive team talk is required from Oderile Matlaku, the Botswana head coach, during the 15-minute interval after the end of the first half. Here's Mlondo for South Africa. He's going for the jugular and nearly did. He's tried his luck on a fair few amount of occasions so far. And space opened up for Mlondo, and his eyes lit up, just got underneath it, that ever so slightly. But that is the closest he has come to etching his name on the score sheet. Here is Mlondo, looking bright. Witbooi looking brighter. Palmer gets on his bike, decides to go back to Maralitse. Here's Mokokosi. Every time he has been tested defensively, same applies to Mzimela, they've dealt well with their task. Likgetho did well there on that occasion to stretch out a limb, to stop that Witbooi pass. On another day it could have been more for South Africa, but in the end it's a 2-goal lead they really do deserve. And there's also another statistic, the foul statistic, that paints the picture of South African possessional dominance. 6 fouls have been committed by the Teenage Zebras, only 1 by South Africa. Mosala wins a corner kick for Botswana. Perhaps an avenue, a route back into this game. They really do need this one to go in, just to uplift their spirits. And perhaps this is definitely a much needed test for Hadebe. Botswana play it short when South Africa were expecting it to go into the box directly. And again, it's another tragic misuse of a corner. We saw a lot of those in the match between Mauritius and Comoros. Now it's yielded an opportunity for South Africa to stretch their legs in the final third. Mlangeni was bundled over there after running almost the length of the pitch. Palmer on the recovery. Needs to be wary, needs to be careful. And he just received a Slight nudge in the back from Tsiri.
Added time, 2 minutes.
So just 2 minutes to go of stoppage time. South Africa have been a class, a cut above Botswana in this first half. Will that continue in the second stanza? All signs are pointing to a no. Look at this run from Buhloko. Will he go all the way? Eventually he's stopped in his tracks. Langeni. South Africa eager to add to their advantage. Eager for number 3. Mokokosi. Unafraid to step into the midfield when the space does open up. And he goes a little bit further, travels a little bit further, Mokokosi. Look at this! Perhaps the shot was on. Decided to do the unselfish thing and look for Witbooi. But that was a wondrous run from the centre half. Deciding that he's done enough defending. He's watched how the other South African attackers have been able to weave their magic, and he decided to get in on the show, get in on the party. Londo. Mokokosi not deciding to go for a run, instead just loops it over the top and to the feet of Palmer. This is perhaps going to be the final passage of play in the first half. And that is that for the first half's action between South Africa and Botswana. And the hosts have gotten off to an absolute flyer. Emile Witbooi has been a marvel to watch in this contest. Won the penalty, which was slotted away coolly by Stevens. And then not long after, Stevens turned provider and assisted Emile Witbooi, who sat one Botswana defender down before caressing the ball into the back of the net. It's been all South Africa, all Amajimbos in this first half. They've been so riveting, but will that continue in the second half? Will Vela Khumalo perhaps turn to his bench now that a cushion lead has been established? It ends after the first half. South Africa 2, Botswana 0. And as for the halftime statistics, it paints a picture of South African flair and South African dominance. 5 corners to 1, 77% of the ball compared to Botswana's 23, 9 goal attempts, 3 shots on target, none so far for Botswana. And South Africa really do deserve to be ahead by Botswana via a 2-goal lead, courtesy of Stevens and Emile Witbooi. Don't go too far, second half coming your way shortly. One final half remains of day number 2 of the Under-17 COSAFA Championships. And the people of Johannesburg and you at home or in the office must have enjoyed that first half display from the Amajimbos, who have secured a 2-goal lead over Botswana after a riveting first 45. Selvin Stevens, scored the first goal from the penalty spot, and not too long after, Emil Witbooi notched up South Africa's second. And in response to that, the head coach of Botswana, Oderile Matlaku, is going to make a trio of changes, raft of substitutions being ready. Motshekwe comes on to replace Ntesang. And Ketshabile also comes on to replace Khote up top. So it's definitely attack-minded changes that Oderile Matlaku has chosen to instill. He needs his substitute to make one big, significant impact. The third change is Brian Maluba.
Player coming out, jersey number 2, Junior Khote. And player coming in, jersey number 3, Junior Lisbon Kitsabile.
So 3 changes for Botswana before the start of the second half. 2 goals for South Africa before the start of the second half. And what a picturesque setting this is, with the backdrop of the city of Johannesburg behind, and South Africa Amajimbos leading Botswana by 2-0 in the second match of Group C. Mlondo was desperate for a goal in that first 45, had his moments, had his opportunities, just couldn't quite take it on fully and comprehensively. But his skill and his talent is undoubted. As for Vela Kumalo, he has to be a happy man together with his star-studded coaching lineup. Here is Unu, was up and down that left flank in the first half, hoping to do the same in the second. Witbooi, spellbounding in the first period. Witbooi breezes past one and past another. And Mlondo tried to combine with him, but Witbooi was always on the move. It was always going to be difficult to squeeze a pass through. And a word on South Africa's star-studded coaching lineup. Velo Khumalo, also the head coach of the Kaizer Chiefs DDC side. Thabo Mngomeni, former Cape Town Spurs, Umtata Bushbucks, and Orlando Pirates midfielder Shuaib Walters, a very capable goalkeeper back in his playing days. And who can forget, of course, Renewe Letsolonyane accumulated 50 caps for Bafana Bafana during his playing days. All of those people provide valuable input for these young South Africans, input that they've definitely taken on board. And they seem to be possession-based, possession-heavy, which is always a good sign. They're really playing with a lot of confidence. Stevens, however, gets his switch wrong, but it's nonetheless picked up by Mlangeni. Now Unu, now Witboy. The 1v1 battles belong to him. Still Witboy. And he's halted by Lekhetu. You could hear the squeal of agony and the sound of frustration exiting the mouth of Witboy. This is better from Botswana. They need a goal. Will it arrive now? Easy gather for Hadebe. Was involved in a rather full throttle warm-up before the start of the second period with his goalkeeping coach Shuaib Walters. Coach just realizing that he needs to keep his goalkeeper warm and ready for anything that might come his way, because Tidi, the Botswana forward, did try his luck from nearly the halfway line in that first half and nearly caught Hadebe out. Palmer also hardly put a foot wrong, as has Selvin Stevens. He's been a joy to watch. Maralitse goes for goal! It's a stunner to bring up number 3 for South Africa. Muted celebrations, but they've put on one grand show. And Maralitse's the next step to add his name to the scoring list. The Brazilian with an absolute brilliant finish. Deflection, goalkeeper rooted to the spot, but he won't mind that too much. Ran the show in the first half, and now he's picked up a goal for his efforts, for his troubles. And now South Africa are definitely, without question, in the pound seats. This is the way Velo Khumalo would have wanted them to start the second half off, in a similar vein to how they started the first period, and it's yielded a goal. And it's proving to be all too simple for South Africa. Selebalo rendered helpless. He was rooted to his spot after that little deflection of Mozilla, I think it was. Just turned his back to the ball, and it just clipped his lower back / buttocks region before it made its way into the goal. Here's Mlondo, picks it up and drives. Decides to chop back when perhaps the better option was to keep on driving, keep on pursuing. He's nearly there, is Mlondo. Unu throws it back to Mzimela. One touch from Stevens. It's picked up by Ketsabile, Junior Lisbon Ketsabile. Now TD. Handball against Palmer. So the 2-2 draw with Malawi and the 1-0 nail-biting victory over Namibia were the 2 results Botswana attained in the last competition, the last edition of this competition that propelled them to the last 4. It was their appetite for scoring goals that made them a real force in the 2022 competition. But they've fallen victim to an ever-hungry and ever-present Amajimbo side, ravenous for goals. Manalitse, Fitboy, to Unu. Hopes to go on the outside, might have just went out of play, indeed it did. So the South African ladies slid 4 past Malawi in the first match of the day that kicked off at 9 o'clock. And the men have followed up in similar fashion. It's been a goal-ridden game, this one, an attack-ridden game after a rather dull affair between Comoros and Mauritius. Apart from the main section and this present tussle, it is good to see that both South Africa and Botswana have also fielded a very strong under-17 ladies team. But unlike in the men's competition, in the women's event, South Africa and Botswana have been seeded in 2 separate groups, 2 equally demanding and daunting groups. It's chock-a-block here at the A.W. Miller Stadium at UJ's Auckland Park campus. Some of the VIPs have also found a seat, together with all the families and friends and just mere spectators. Maralitse gets that pass wrong. Manyane searches for that ball over the top that's so difficult to achieve. Unu, Fitboy, the crowd want to see more of him. But it does seem like Velokomalo is going to make a change. Sekhoto is the next one likely to be introduced from a South African point of view. Unu slowly ventures deep into the half of Botswana. That's a lovely spin and turn from Mlondo. Just can't quite squeeze the ball through. Fitboy tries to nick it off the Botswana captain. He did, and it was put into the back of the net by Bufloko, but the referee blew his whistle before the Kaizer Chiefs goal machine stroked the ball into the back of the net. That challenge was clean. Don't see a whole lot wrong with that. Lekgetho has had a tough and torrid afternoon. So has that entire Botswana backline. We saw quite a lot of injuries occur in the last clash between Comoros and Mauritius. Will the Botswana captain have to make his way off the field of play? Sive Palma is not at all happy to be substituted, and he's replaced by Sekhoto, also another member of a very strong Mamelodi Sundowns under-17 outfit. So for the time being, the Botswana captain exits the field of play, and this is another look at the second, or the first goal, nearly similar, in which Emile Witbooi weaved his magic and found a way through. This is that second goal after winning the penalty, decided to go by himself and scored a simply beautiful goal. And then the first of the second half arrived via a deflection. Strike from Maraletse outside of the box. Took a nick and totally bamboozled Senebalo. Lemogang Sefemo, donning the number 10. And he's replacing Mozilla. Witbooi, 3 runners ahead of him, decides to look for Mlondo. He'll slide in his attempts to keep that ball in play. There's the confirmation of the scoreline for you. South Africa 3 goals up against Botswana, yet to be tested at the back, but bigger tests will come as the tournament progresses. But so far in their group opener, Vela Kumalo and his assistant coaches really cannot have asked for much more. Amajimbos have been exquisite today. They've stepped on the gas whenever they've need to. Their ability to control a match has probably been the best we've seen so far in this tournament. And once again, it's a sign that if you just keep possession, it's one of the best measures to keep the opposition at bay. They can't do anything to you if they don't have the football at their feet. Butloko. It's out for a South African throw-in after a much-needed intervention from Tliso. Here is Maraletsi. Gets the ball back. From the substitute, here's Witbooi. On him like a rash for Botswana that time around. Unu. Early cross, good delivery. Selebalo didn't get enough on his clearance. Here's Mlondo for South Africa. Now Mlangeni. Now Maralitse. Work it nicely. Butloko, Stevens. Still Stevens. Finds the most recent goal scorer. And it finds its way back to Stevens. Mlondo was onside. Couldn't quite make the most of that moment. In steps Mokokosi. Witbooi. Oh no, that's not at all called for from Witbooi. Through a hand, not once but twice. In the face of Katsabile. Not at all happy with the challenge that he faced, and I don't think the referee was privy to. He didn't see that Witbooi attempted to half-heartedly slap his counterpart. So not at all great discipline from Emil Witbooi, but other than that, he's been absolutely scintillating in this contest, and Mlondo has also been incredibly busy. Match restarts. Botswana need to try and press the restart button. Try to do so at the start of the second half, and then not long after face their third goal. Unu, solid as ever. Here's Maralitse. To Mokokosi, the South African captain that is most assuredly led from the front. Butloko, he'll be dying for a goal. Good block from the Kaizer Chiefs forward, who gives chase now. Gets there ahead of Manyane, but the ball just trickles out of play. Frustratingly so for Butloko. And as far as the future Bafana Bafana team is concerned, the future definitely looks to be in very good hands. The senior side were nothing shy of incredible in 2024, and Amajimbos will be yearning to perform in the same way Bafana Bafana did the last time they visited Cote d'Ivoire. And that was the challenge that has allowed the referee to book Tero Bubi. It's opened up here! And not for the first time, Mlondo sees his effort cruise over the top of Selebalo's crossbar. punchy header. It's been a real punchy performance and zesty performance from South Africa. Haven't given Botswana an inch. Here's Hadebe. Is he going to be the first pick for Vela Khumalo throughout the tournament? Or will we perhaps see Musia get a shot, Luke Holden as well? Only time will reveal the answer. Mokukosi. Witbooi. Unu. Who gives South Africa so much strength and composure on this left-hand flank. They do appear to be a very balanced team. A team that can attack in more than one way, which is such a good attribute. Their attacking arsenal seems to be quite diverse. And the future definitely looks bright. The immediate future, too. As for this group, they've spent a lot of time together under the stewardship of Vela Khumalo, and you can see the chemistry-like relationship they have with one another. Here's Munu, puts his head down, goes for a bullish run. Still Munu. Runs a corner, but pulls up. Good to see him slowly get back to his feet. A little bit more one-dimensional than the likes of Emil Witbooi and Mlondo, but what he lacks in creativity definitely makes up for in power and strength and sheer determination. So Witbooi picked up a yellow card for that slap on the back of the head, and then not too long after decided to go again, so that's why he's been booked. Witbooi, dangerous tease of a delivery into the box, and then Mokukosi just pokes it harmlessly out for a Botswana goal kick. Should have given that the lot, but he didn't, did Mokukosi. He's in fact been close to scoring not once but twice in this game. Londo does well. Here we go then. Butloko is in for South Africa. Does he stay on his feet? Waits for support, waits for Witbooi. Good recovery from Botswana. South Africa look to go again. And then eventually Sekhoto is bundled over. And just like that, like a flash of lightning, Botswana's defense went to sleep once more. The goalkeeper was left in no man's land, forced to come out of the goal mouth, and they so nearly were punished for the 4th time. Mokukosi. 65 minutes on the clock. South Africa more than in control against Botswana, thanks to establishing a 3-goal lead. More importantly, they'll also look to keep their clean sheet intact, which is definitely a morale booster. Sekhoto does well defensively for South Africa. Stevens. Unu. Witbooi, that's neat. Witbooi does pick it up. Butloko now for South Africa. That's number 4, and it was coming. It's been in the making for a while. He just can't stop scoring. He just can't help himself. And Witbooi put it on a plate for Neo Butloko, who scores South Africa's 4th goal in this contest. And he's like a machine. Doesn't celebrate, back to his mark. And it was a simple finish for a player of his caliber.
Go South Africa.
Goals are flowing.
Now,
And South Africa appear to be unstoppable. And now I think that goal might just spur on Vila Khumalo to turn to his substitute bench. There's Unu, a really good performer in this match for South Africa. Won't grab the headlines. He's unlikely to grab a goal for himself, but he's definitely been very sturdy. And also very helpful in an attacking sense. Sekhoto does well for South Africa. Is that going to be a goal kick? It's going to be a corner. Adventurous run from the substitute after replacing Palmer. Good competition between those two. Palmer was far from happy after he saw his number on the board. Was forced to go off. And we saw that signal from Witbooi in the first half. Stevens indicating the exact same. This is South Africa's 7th corner. They play it short. Witbooi, change of angle for Stevens. Stevens, deflection, hits the post. Is it going to fall for a man in green and gold? It does, but Botswana managed to get rid, managed to clear their lines. And then Maralitse has a go. Spilt by the goalkeeper again. And then does well to reclaim it. That first save might have just been for the cameras, but the second one was much more assured. Tladi. Here's Tidi for Botswana. Haven't seen too much of this from a Botswana point of view. And it's as simple as can be for Hadebe in the end. Stevens, Witbooi over the top. It's only Witbooi and the goalkeeper to beat, who's in no man's land now. Witbooi teasing the goalkeeper, teasing Botswana. Langeni, driven wide. Opportunities are coming in thick and fast for our Majimbos. We just couldn't quite capitalize on that one. Langeni just chose to drive and rifle it towards the bottom left-hand corner. Didn't get it too wrong, but you really would have backed him to find the back of the net. Be it as it may, South Africa still in the lead against Botswana by 4-0. It's been a showstopper kind of performance from Vila Khumalo's side. He's currently in discussion with Thabo Mngomeni and Renewe Letsolonyane.
Substitutions for South Africa.
More changes. They call him the Rolls Royce. Royce Malachi will come on to replace Witbooi. Hugunanan is also another change, and Majola also comes on onto the field of play. One of the newer faces in this Amajimbo setup, but his talent, as I understand it, is boundless. So most of the substitutes that have made their way onto the field of play actually play their club stuff for Mamelodi Sundowns. Hence why the understanding between the players out in the park is so smooth, so well oiled and so well drilled. They had about 74% of the ball in the first half. That figure has since shot up in the second period. South Africa almost in control of 80% of possession, and Botswana just haven't had an answer. Not a down. So change of position then for Sekhoto, who is playing a little bit more central. In his stead is Royce Malachi on the right-hand side. As on the near-hand flank, Tashil Rugunanan has entered the party. Here is Sifemo for Botswana. Good back heel from Sifemo to Ketsabile. Tidy defensive work from the latest substitute, Rugunanan. Mosala throws it there into the box. Majola can't locate a South African player. It's flicked on by those two midfielders. Maralitse has also played with so much swagger, so much confidence, so much calmness. The same applies for Mlangeni, who hasn't been able to get a goal as of yet, unlike his counterpart. Unlike his counterpart, his compatriot. Kadebe works that one out. Here's Neo Busoko. Now the substitutes are desperate to get involved. Stevens, not too sure what exactly he was going for there. So when Villa Kumalo's predecessor, Duncan Crowe, guided Amajimbos to last year's Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations, one undeniable and one valuable lesson was learnt, and that is that there remains a gap between some of Africa's best youth teams and Africa's very best youth teams. Senegal and Morocco appear to be a cut above the rest on the continent of ours. And South Africa are eager to close the gap, but first they are seeking regional success, regional dominance. But bigger tests lie in the wake. To give away from Sekhoto. But don't worry, Maralitse is there to mop up. Stevens to Maralitse. Butloko might be in for number 2. He goes to ground. Good show of strength this time around from Mosala. Trey Walters. Just getting in first touch of the football. Stevens. Still Stevens. Here's Majola. Gets a free kick for Amajimbos. Wasn't exactly happy with some of his teammates. And Majola can play quite literally across the front line, whether that be in the left slot, the right slot, through the middle. He's functioned very effectively this season for both club and country, for both country and Mamelodi Sundowns. Tidi can't take the ball in his stride, leaves it behind. Nangeni. Here he is again, in Nangeni. Fouls starting to rack up against Botswana. 11-3 now. So more than triple the amount of fouls that South Africa have committed. Majola occupying the false 9 position. Good 1-2. Still Majola. Ragunanan. Offside against him. Or perhaps even Majola.
Substitution for South Africa, jersey number 15, Neo Bushuku coming out.
Neo Buhloko will exit the fray
And coming in
after getting a goal of his own.
Lebogang Dlamini.
And he's replaced by Lebogang Dlamini. Zimela. I didn't touch on it yet, but South Africa's youngest player on the field currently has now become Apelele Majola, who was born in 2010. And here he is. The very same year South Africa hosted the World Cup, Majola was born. And what a time to be alive that was. Here we go then. Chance for a fifth. Decent save from Selebalo. Wonderful endeavor from Sekhoto, who initially replaced Palmer, but he's now been given the license to get forward to play in the most advanced positions and nearly wormed his way through. Because of his undeniable endeavor, Sekhoto has won a corner kick for South Africa, and Botswana just simply can't wait for the final whistle. They've been put to the sword, nearly decimated this afternoon by the hosts, who are seeking and hoping that their impressive record in South Africa when they host this tournament shall continue over the next week and a half. Majola or Stevens. It is going to be Majola. Good clearance on the header to the edge of the box. Oh, just clipped the hands of Royce Malachi, aka Muhome. Touch there from Selebalo just sparks the press from South Africa, from Lebogang Dlamini. Langeni, Majola, Langeni again. This is exquisite football from South Africa, knocking it amongst themselves with so much confidence. Botswana can't get a handle on them. There's the commentator's curse rearing its ugly face once again. Botswana nicking the ball from South Africa. South Africa doing the same. Here's Hadebe. So for both Amajimbos and the Teenage Zebras of Botswana, they'll have the rest of the evening and the whole of Friday to recover, prepare and possibly tweak a few aspects of their game before they re-enter the COSAFA Cauldron on Saturday afternoon. South Africa's next immediate challenge will arrive in the shape of Comoros. Who did have their opportunities to defeat Mauritius earlier on, but they just simply didn't take them. And if South Africa can defeat Comoros, they'll book their place in the Final Four with ease. Chance here then for the substitute, and it's gone over. It opened up so beautifully for Sekhoto. Just couldn't quite keep his knee over, keep his head over it. Perhaps should have been finished by Dlamini, but definitely should have been tucked away from Sekhoto. Just a bounce before it hit his foot. Counted against him. Maralitse. As for Botswana, they will definitely need to sharpen their tools and strengthen their minds for a very important match against Mauritius at noon on Saturday, in what has become a must-not-lose game for them. They are currently rooted to the foot of the Group C table, mini log. As for South Africa, occupants of the summit. Langeni, Majola, and there's not a lot of positives Oderile Matlaku will take from this performance. Sometimes this can happen when you pit it against tournament favorites, tournament hosts. They've simply just had too much firepower, too much flair over Botswana this afternoon, have the South Africans. And these last few minutes will be absolutely torturous for Botswana, who are not in the mood to press. Dlamini. Across to Royce Malachi. Could be a lovely ball. Nearly was. And just a word on Royce Malachi. He can play in the midfield. He has played in the defense before this season, but he's currently occupying the right fullback slot. So he adds so much versatility to Vela Kumalo's team. And there will come times in this tournament where South Africa will be in dire need of someone that can just fill in a gap, plug a gap. And Royce Malachi is definitely that kind of player. Kalatile. So the next one to be thrown into the mix. And he's replaced by Tiri. Arguably Botswana's best player in this game so far. Word best with inverted commas. Here goes Stevens. The South Africans joining him in attack. He commits a foul to Stevens, frustratingly so, after just letting the ball get ahead of him. Lovely piece of skill to get the better of Maluba initially. Look at that punchy header from Royce Malachi. Langeni for South Africa. Going to be a tough pick for the relevant selectors of the man of the match. But you at home, I guess you'll probably have a conflicting opinion. So many players to choose from. So many contenders. Witboy, Stevens, perhaps Maralitse or Langeni, even Butloko has an outside shot. Lovely pass. And a wonderful defensive recovery from that man again, Royce Malachi. Dlamini. Less than 5 minutes of normal time remain in our final match of the day, in day number 2 of the Under-17 COSAFA Championships. Will it end off in a flurry? Will there be a grandstand finish? One grand goal to conclude the day's work. And today this COSAFA Under-17 Championship turned out 4 feverish matches in Group C and in Group B. However, tomorrow only 2 matches will be played. Angola will be eager to start their AFCON qualification campaign with consecutive victories. Speaking of 2 goals, Stevens looking for his second, decided to tee up Majola, who just didn't get enough purchase on his strike. So the 3 o'clock contest tomorrow is also another fascinating Group A tussle, this time between Mozambique and Lesotho. And just to remind you that Group A will be the first group to be resolved and finalized in this tournament. Majola acting as a good target man, an excellent false nine. Stevens, he's got Sekhoto in the middle. Stevens might just opt to go all by himself. Dlamini, his attempt was goal bound, but it was denied by Lekheto. Everyone wants to get in on the action, including Stevens. Scored from the penalty spot, ignited the goal show for South Africa this afternoon. Scored first and wanted to score last. South Africa almost up to double figures in terms of their corner kick tally. This is their 9th. There's a 3v2 situation on here for Botswana, who had the numbers on South Africa. Just couldn't quite make it count. They haven't been able to make it count this afternoon. Like deers caught in the headlights. Sekhoto, good ball. Not a good finish from Dlamini, who came rushing in there. Just couldn't quite stop, pause and compose himself to take on the strike. Needed to take it within his stride. And he was already on his way down to the turf, so it was difficult to maneuver himself and divert his attempt goalwards. Maleletse has literally been flawless in the midfield this afternoon. You really start to run out of superlatives when our Majimbos are looking and playing this well. Rugunana tries to pull back Kilatile, but Kilatile manages to find the ball to Khosi Tiri. Now Kilatile again. Final 60 seconds of normal time remains. The finish line is within sight for South Africa. And boy, have they cruised to the finish line. Wonderful intervention from Malachi. An intervention that wasn't really needed because the offside flag was raised. So definitely don't forget to set your reminders and mark your calendars for next week, Wednesday, the fateful day of this tournament, which will decide the identity of the two COSAFA affiliated nations that will have the distinct honor of being present at the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations. South Africa have made the perfect start. As for Botswana, they'll have to go back to the drawing board as the cliche stipulates. But they might leave with a consolation goal. Sifemo. Not to be. 3 minutes to go then. Will South Africa just boss possession once again and force Botswana to chase? All the South Africans try and make it a 5-star performance, a 5-0 performance. Dlamini. And in the City of Gold, South Africa have without doubt produced a golden performance this afternoon. They've glittered and dazzled, and they'll hope that their current form will continue throughout this very short tournament, a sprint of a tournament that is the Under-17 COSAFA Championships. Mochekwe has Brian Maluba. It's kept in. Just for a moment there, Mzimela just went to ground. So did Royce Malachi. Here's Dlamini though, leading the charge for South Africa. Stevens joining him in that respect. Lifts his head, lovely reverse ball to Dlamini. 2 players in the box to pick out. Nearly landed for Majola. Still Majola. Sekhoto is dispossessed. Stevens, that's a clever flick to Royce Malachi. Now to Maraletse. South Africa ending this contest on top. It's been a near faultless display from South Africa, although it's difficult to really give them a proper summary of the performance, just because they haven't really been tested defensively. But those tests will come when they perhaps face the likes of Angola and Zambia and perhaps Mozambique. It's difficult to say, because round 1 is going to be completed in less than 10 seconds time. Dlamini, final South African to get the final touch on the football, and it's been a rather riveting display from the hosts. Velo Khumalo's Amajimbos have been absolutely astounding this afternoon. Even the substitutes that were introduced really played with a lot of heart, a lot of ingenuity, and so much boundless creativity. South Africa have slid 4 unanswered goals past Botswana, who start their Under-17 COSAFA Championship campaign with a heartless defeat, a defeat that will be tough to take. But as for South Africa, you couldn't have asked for a better start. The hosts are up and running. Stevens scored the first goal. Then Emil Witbooi scored a wonderful goal, probably the pick of the day. Then Maraletse made it 3-0. And then the fourth arrived not too long after from Buhloko. Smiles aplenty. From a South African point of view, Botswana have been outclassed, outmatched, outfought. It's a day that belongs to South Africa, who go to the top of Group C. Botswana at the bottom, so Comoros and Mauritius are 2nd and 3rd respectively. It ends after a full, riveting 90-minute display from South Africa. Amajimbos 4, Botswana nothing. 19 goal attempts from South Africa in this game. 8 of those shots were on target, and 4 of those found the back of the net.
Have you announced the player of the match?
That's it from me. Stay tuned for tomorrow's proceedings. See you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, your player of the match for this match, jersey number 6, Samuel Maraletse from South Africa. That's one, Joshi. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of match day 2. Let's meet again tomorrow, same place, same time. Malawi will be taking on Angola at 12 o'clock. And immediately after that match, we'll have Mozambique up against Lesotho. Wishing everyone a safe journey back home or wherever you might be heading to. We'll see you guys. Oh.
Stay safe. Hey, you just out there. Stand up. Stand up. Come, man. Coach. Hey, Harrijans, can I get a picture also? That's correct.